Hi, have a pleasant day. This is Srimati. Today we are going to see the position of auditor as regards to frauds and errors. Let us recollect the primary objective of audit. What is the primary objective of an audit? Is to render our opinion as to the truth and fairness of presentation in financial statements about the state of affairs and the results of operations of the business under an audit. So here it is not commonly believed to search for fraud or error. So the auditor's duty is not commonly for the search of fraud or error. But according to SAP, Standard Auditing Practice 4, the fraud and errors which has been given by or issued by the Institute of Chartered Accountant of India makes the following points as to the auditor's responsibility for deduction of material misstatements in the financial statements due to fraud and error. So what are the points which is to be responsible for an auditor? Here the prevention and detection of fraud and error is the responsibility of a management. So the management should implement and continuously operate an adequate system of internal control. So what is internal control? It is the control through which the books of account should be get accounted and audited. So though this can only reduce and not eliminate the possibility of frauds and errors. And the next one is the reasonable expectation of deduction of material misstatements. So the examination, audit examination should be planned that there is a reasonable expectation of deduction of materials misstatements in financial information resulting from fraud and error. Always the auditor should have a plan that there should be a reasonable expectation of this material misstatements. And the next one is an auditor suffers from certain inherent limitations. So what is an inherent limitations? So there are certain limitations which is in the auditing itself. So here, say for example, the sample checking of transactions. What is sample checking? Taking a few transaction and checking it in detail. So this is about sample checking. So the sample checking of transactions may exclude the areas or transactions which has been affected by the fraud and error. So here the auditor has to make an evidence in many cases which may not be a conclusive one for the fraud or errors. So here moreover the resulting of misstatements which has been resulting from the fraud are more difficult to discover those resulting from an error. Okay, because fraud is a clever planning. So it is more difficult to an auditor to find it out. So auditor has to plan and perform his duty to proceed on the assumption that there may be an events and conditions which are raising a doubt of existence of frauds and errors. The next one is the risk of fraud and error is increased by different factors. The different factors, say for example, weakness in internal control system. As I already told you, the internal control system means the system of accounting which has been done by one person are easily controlled and checked by another person immediately. That is about internal control system. So if there is any weakness in the internal control system, so that is also increase the risk of fraud and errors. Okay, and then the next one is integrity and competence of management. One is the unusual internal pressures in the management. Say for example, they want to put a rising profit trend in the business world. So they need certain pressures. According to that pressures, they may go for making a fraud. And the next one is the unusual transactions at the year end. So usually year end sales, so which will lead to huge changes in the business activities and it will lead to fraud and errors. Okay, and next one is the problems in obtaining the sufficient and appropriate evidence due to lack of records and documentations, etc. This leads to increase in the frauds and errors. All these situations, the auditor's responsibility is more, and he is responsible for is there any errors and fraud is left out in the financial statement or state of affairs of the business. But the auditor can avoid this responsibility for any subsequent discovery of material misstatements resulting from fraud and error in the following circumstances. So what are the following circumstances? He should adhere to the basic principles and adoption of suitable procedures consistent with the result of the examination of books of accounts. Okay, what is an examination? He has to examine the books of accounts and the proper documentations, and then he should adopt the important matters related to the documentations, everything. Then we can say, when there is about a proper control of working of internal control system, then he can avoid his responsibility, stating that he has undertaken all the or proper steps or procedures which are inconsistent with the examination. Suppose the auditor believes that a suspected fraud or error could materially affect the information, that is financial information, then he should modify the existing procedure. What is an existing procedure? The internal control system or internal check system which is available in the business, or introduce a new one keeping within a view the type of fraud or error which has been taking place or relative risk on that particular business. Suppose if the suspicion of fraud or error is confirmed, then he should see that the effect of fraud is duly reflected in the financial statement, or that the error is corrected. If it is an error, it should be corrected. If fraud is there, then it has been reflected in the financial statement, and the same should be noted at his report as its opinion. Now you may have a doubt what is about a material information is. So here the materiality in auditing. So an item of information is material. Material means important. Suppose if it has been omitted or misstatement can influence the economic decision of the users of the information. Say for example, if fictitious sales of significant amount are recorded in the books of a company, then it would result in overstatement of sales and profits as shown by the financial statements. So based on the profit figure shown in the financial statements, the investor may invest in the shares of a company. What is a fictitious sale? Actually it is not at all a sale, but only recorded in the financial statement. That is about an material information. I will give you another example. This material information depends upon a particular facts or circumstances in each cases. Say the omission of sales invoice of rupees 10,000 in an enterprise with a turnover, that is a sale of rupees 2 crores, may not be considered as a material. But at the same time, the same 10,000 sales invoice may become a material if the turnover of the enterprise is only 1 lakh. Therefore, it's difficult to lay down rigid parameters for determining whether an item is material or not. So this is to determine by the auditor by exercising his professional knowledge, skill, experience in the facts and circumstances of a particular case. But here it would be wrong to conclude that the auditor is altogether free from the liability as to fraud and errors in the books of accounts or financial statement of the enterprises under an audit. So one has to remember that the auditor is professionally competent person, and in that capacity he owns a duty of reasonable care and skill in the conduct of his examination. The same thing has held in a case law, State Street Trust Company versus Ernst. So in this case they have given a judgment in all those employments where a peculiar skill is requisite. Then if one offers his service, then he is understood as holding himself out to the public as possessing the degree of skill commonly possessed by others, same employment. In the Heller and Partners Limited case, it was held that a person exercising any profession or calling will be liable for negligence resulting in failure to exercise due care and skill to any person relying upon his careless advice or information despite the absence of contractual relationship with him. So here the auditor has to use due care and skill, because everyone is relying, the person is having such a care and skill with his profession like. So what is a reasonable care means, or skill which requires means? To make an intensive check of the system of internal control and check the device, his audit and testing procedures accordingly. So he has to check the internal check system which is available in a business, and then he has to make sure with the procedure according to the internal check system available in the business, and to make all verifications personally or through an experienced representative. Either he has to make it or he has to depute the experienced representative to verify it, and to ensure that the financial statements fully conform to the generally adopted accounting procedures and the relevant legal requirements are taken place. And finally, he has to see that in case the financial statement disclose a situation even remotely hinting a fraud, then to pursue the lead to its logical conclusion. That is what we say a reasonable care should be taken at the time of auditing. The next one is in Kingston Cotton Mill case, in which the auditor was defined as being a watchdog but not a bloodhound. What it means? The audit is not designed to discover the fraud. So the auditors plead that they are not responsible for the financial fraud which has been committed in the financial statements. But the investors, the stakeholders, however, they may feel cheated when the audited financial statements they have relied upon while making the investment decisions turned out to be false and it has been fabricated, and thereby rightly the questions are very usefulness for an audit. So the auditors cannot escape their accountability for management frauds, because they have to conduct a careful checking of business transactions. Auditor's responsibilities in this regard also extends to the area in which he has no adequate competence of knowledge, skill, something. Say for example, in case of valuation of assets or in case of any legal matters, if he don't have that much of knowledge or competent skill, then he has to take the assistance of the experts who will be recorded as his agent for that purpose. If he fails to do so, then he is not fulfilling his due care and skill towards this professional knowledge or professional ethics. We take the Punjab National Bank fraud, which points towards the failure in internal controls over the letter of understandings, which the auditor were supposed to examine the question. The corporates like Satyam and other financial institutions do not collapse suddenly but gradually over the years because of continuing business failures or frauds being perpetuated. So the scope of audit under Companies Act is to express the true and fair view of financial statements. But auditors have, however, come to interpret this to exclude their role in detection of frauds. You enjoyed the class. Until the next, bye from Srimati. Thank you.